best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. Hello, ladies. It's Tuesday. There's our girl, Catherine, already in the house, holding down the fort. Thanks, Catherine. Appreciate you a lot. As usual, bunch of stuff going on here. And one of the big things is I have a new book coming out, and it's called I just had a brain fart. If I were 50 again, this is exactly what I would do differently. And it's based on the blog post that I did. If you saw the blog post on Substack, it kind of blew up. And then I've also had a lot of really good feedback from people who are on TikTok, because that's been quite the discussion as well. The thing is not that we're looking back on those years and wishing we could take it all back or anything like that. It's going back and saying, if I were doing this again, these are the things that I would do differently, because they do make a difference and because it does put you forward a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Hi, Jocelyn, Jeanette, good to have you here. Martha, lovely to have you here as well. Anyway, so If I Were 50 Again is my next book. And it is in pre-sale mode right now. You can find it at savingdinner.com/50 again. 50, like the number 50, again. Thank you, Catherine. I appreciate that. Hi, Chris. She says she needs to reconnect. I'm fine with that. Reconnect. I don't know if she needs to reconnect Wi-Fi ways or if she needs to reconnect because she's here, but it's good to have you here, Chris. It's nice to see you always, and everybody else. So If I Were 50 Again, this is exactly what I would do differently, is on pre-sale right now. And so here's what you get with the pre-sale kind of a thing. First of all, when the book comes out, it's going to be out right around that first week in November. It takes a while to get, printed and all of that. We will have a virtual book party, and your book will be signed to you and, of course, sent to you. So that's part of it, and getting the book signed and all of that. And we'll have probably some prizes, I'm going to say, at that book party, because it's a virtual book party. Why wouldn't we do that? Anyway, I hope go check it out and see if it resonates with you. Some of the stuff you've heard me talk about before because you've been around, hanging around for a while, but it's all the things. We use the 4-room framework. It's all the things, because this is what makes us tick, and it makes our lives a whole lot more rich and a whole lot more satisfying if we are in all the rooms, so to speak. So that's what one of the things that's going on. Also, I am absolutely, because I'm telling you, this is one of the biggest game changers, I believe, on the market today, and that is Native Path's collagen peptides for joints. What a game changer. What a game changer. I have every single person, I have so many people here who I've recommended it to, who have been using it and have just it's jaw-dropping how much better they feel, and how, it's just really interesting to me. People who try a supplement or something, they'll go for 4 days and they say, I didn't feel anything. That consistency thing, like doing that whole container and just doing it on a regular basis will give you jaw-dropping results. It will. I'll give you your money back if it doesn't, and I'll take back anything that you leave because I want it. I love it. Hey, Pat, I'm glad you're here. So that is a kind of a cool thing. And there's a, special deal going, savingdinner.com/joint. because don't we want our joints to feel better? I don't know about you, but if you have aching hips or joints or shoulders or knees, it's miserable. But getting rid of that misery, now that's everything. That is everything. So go to savingdinner.com/joint. Go get it. Tell them Leanne sent you. You know, I'm serious. I love this. Stuff is a game changer. Um, the quote of the week is an Amelia Earhart quote of all things, and it's women must try to do as men have tried, and when they fail, their failure must be but a challenge to others. And think about when this quote came out. We're talking 100 years ago. 100 years ago. Or maybe a little bit, maybe 95 years ago. I don't know. But the point is that, back in those days, women were not on an equal playing field with men. I don't think we are quite there yet. But the thing is that she was challenging women to get out there and do it and go out and fail just like a man. Just do it like a man. We're humans, all having a human experience, spiritual beings in a human body. You've heard that before. That's how it is. But it's also this whole idea of we have to genderify, if you will, any kind of effort or goals or dreams. No, 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 we don't need to do that. Our friend Noreen is here. Hello, Noreen. Golly, we got a lot of good people here today. Not that we didn't always have a lot of good people, but a lot of people I haven't seen in a long time. So it's good to have you here. Anyway, I have quite a show for you today. I think it's quite a show because this came up to this show was in my head at 3:00 in the morning. Don't you hate that? You wake up at 3:00 in the morning going, oh my gosh, I just want to go back to sleep. But no, I was thinking about this. Okay, so I'll give you the background. My husband and I are watching Scandal. Scandal. I don't know if you've seen Kerry Washington is the lead actress in it. Anyway, Scandal is on Netflix, and we like to get into, like we loved West Wing, we loved The Office, we love a good series, and and plus you can just watch it and watch it and watch it. You don't have to constantly be looking for something. Anyway, so that's our big series right now, Scandal. I don't believe it's aged well with some of the stuff because, it came out in 2012, I believe, 2012. And some of the stuff in it is just a little bit cringy, just kind of well, if you've seen the show, you know what I'm talking about. But so there was some of the cringe factor there. But here's the thing that absolutely crawled underneath my skin, having me yelling at the TV. Tell me if this sounds familiar. Okay. So I'm going to give you the situation. They're looking, if you know about it, Olivia Pope and Associates they're fixers. She's an attorney and they're all kind of private investigators, and they're always fixing something, like somebody has a political crisis. And so they're digging, getting the information, and then they're going to, surprise it on the other guy and fix the whole story for our underdog. Anyway, so oftentimes what will happen in this show is somebody will get the goods on somebody else. Somebody will get those goods. Like we're talking about, oh, this is the guy who he's got the key to the files, and those files contain all the goods on this political opponent and can ruin him. And then the journalist gets a hold of it, and the journalist goes to that person and says, I've got the goods on you, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And I'm yelling at the TV, why are you telling them what you're going to do? Because 9 times out of 10, they're going to end up with a pair of scissors in their neck. True story. This happened in the show. Or, something equally awful is going to happen. Why do they always do this? And then at 3:00 in the morning, I thought, we do that to ourselves too. That's what we're talking about today. It took me a minute to get to the point. You'll see this in my Substack. If you're following my Substack, you'll see this in my Substack really, it's called Spilling the Beans. It's going to be a little bit more in depth than what we're talking about today, but we're talking about it today too, because blurting out something is never a strategy, because silence will usually triumph over blurting at any point. Okay. I want to talk about this because I don't know about you. I have inserted my foot into my mouth more times than I can count. I have said things that I wish I could take back. And I have figured out at the age of 67, finally, that's not a good strategy. It's not a good way to win friends and influence people. It's not a good way to lead one's life. And furthermore, it grinds your emotional intelligence into the ground. Okay? So let's do that. We've all been there. We have all been I mean, I dare you, pinkies up if you've been there. Pinkies up if you've said something that you've instantly regretted and you just wish you could take it back. But in the heat of the moment, it was a knee jerk reaction and blah, 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 blah. Out came all this stuff. Now, maybe not to the point where you're going to get a pair of scissors in your neck, but to the point where you're going to say, oh, I wish I could take all of that back. Right. So, we all do this. If we say something that's just plain stupid, there we go. Chris, thank you for being honest, my friend Chris. And before our brains can hit the brakes, we're just blurting everything out. It's just like it's a word salad. It's just, you know, foaming from our mouths, so to speak. And here's the thing, for about 5 seconds, it feels like, I'm being honest, I'm being righteous, I'm telling the truth in love, even, blah, blah, blah. But then after it's all said and done, then there's regret because someone maybe is hurt from what we've said, or maybe we only have a half truth and they're saying, oh, hold on a minute. You don't have all the facts here. Okay, Catherine. Oh, I thought Catherine was giving me pinkies. She's waving over at Noreen. Anyway, but the other thing that happens is that when we do this and when we blurt out like this, um, sometimes we inadvertently give away our power. Okay, now hold on, and I'm going to talk about why. But it's a sinking feeling that we have, and we're giving away our power because now everything has come flying out that's in our head. Just because we have that thought doesn't need it needs to be said, and we haven't held back at all. So we've had a moment of discussion, a moment of clarity, a moment of being able to put the whole thing out there. It's interesting to me because to me, this blurting out thing is sort of the amygdala saying, yeah, just say it out, girl. Go, go, go. Say it. And not saying anything and holding back in silence and thinking about it and what have you puts you in the power seat, and it gives your prefrontal cortex a moment to process and to think, to be careful, to be gentle, to be kind, to be empathetic, to be emotionally intelligent. You see where I'm going with all this, right? So it's interesting. It is the ultimate knee-jerk reaction, though, with your mouth, of all things. And the last thing is usually it doesn't solve the problem, usually just adds to it, and it doesn't give you any leverage, and it doesn't make you look strong or smart or kind, right? What it does is it's a red flag for emotional stagnation, emotional intelligence stagnation. It's saying that you can't hold your tongue long enough to be able to process it, to be able to put together a poignant and cogent sentence that isn't going to decimate the person that you're speaking to or texting to or whatever. And it doesn't do anyone any favors. And it at baseline level, it's pretty base. It is. It's just, it locks you into a corner. And so what do we have left then? We have damage control that needs to be put into action right after those words come tumbling out. And we also have a lot of regret. I know we've all been in that place. So One thing that just really struck me as I was thinking about this at 3 o'clock in the morning, silence usually is not followed with regret. Think about it. If you're just silent and you don't say anything, you have nothing to regret. So, and this was the other thing too. This is again 3 o'clock in the morning. I was thinking about it like it's not like you're laying in bed going, dang, I wish I had said that knee jerk kind of a thing and really um in the heat of the moment and just let it all out. Nobody ever does that because nobody has that much control to be able to do that, if you will, in such a way that it's not going to be hurtful, it's not going to be over the top, and it's also not going to be totally necessary. That's the other thing. So, unless if you've ever been in bed replaying those words over and over in your head and trying to figure out, how could I've done this different and all the regret and all the angst and all of that, we're going to be talking about this because there's a way for us to not get into that position in the first place. And I think it's really important because we are emotionally intelligent enough to understand that we don't have to do this, and I know that for a lot of us, we haven't really sit there and think, "Oh, this is something I don't wanna do." But, watching that stupid show last night and me yelling at the screen like, "Don't tell them everything." That's just it. It's like they go to the villain, they tell them everything, and then they end up dead, right? We do the same thing. We go to this person who is maybe, hurting us, we villainize them, and then they come back and wound us even more. It's what can happen. So, silence, isn't a sign of weakness or it's like, I don't know what to say or whatever. It's actually a strategy. And it's actually buying you time so that you have a moment to not be a knee jerk, here it comes, but instead you have the time to process it. It protects your options and it keeps you in the driver's seat without losing control. And I don't know about you, but that is where I want to be. I don't like being in the place where everything just comes flying out of my mouth. It makes me feel not only awful about maybe hurting somebody else's feelings, but also it makes me feel like, geez, Leanne, don't you have any control? And the fact is that we do. We have to master the pause though. And I think that there's 5 ways that you can do that. Okay. And it involves your brain. So, listen up, let's get into it. The first is number one is to buy yourself a beat. So when you have this urge to just blurt something out, in your head, just literally count to three. One, two, three. This little micro pause is like an emotional seatbelt for your brain. And it keeps you from flying through the windshield of your own mouth and gives you that moment to really take a breath, to take a pause, and to take back those words that were about to come flying out. So buy yourself a beat. One, two, three. Even slower if you need to. But it's a tool this we can use to you know, get control over our own words. Number two is to get comfortable with silence because, a lot of times we want words filling all of the empty spaces. And that can cause some real problems too. But if we allow for silence and we allow for even the other person squirming a little bit while we're silent, well, guess what? Practice sitting with that. Practice sitting with silence because that is exactly why it's powerful. You know, it means that someone has a little bit more power than the other, if you will, as far as control over the situation. And it gives you the let's hang here for a minute. Let's not go there. Let's practice doing this. It's not dead air, really, not at all. It's actually leverage. And just sitting for that minute, and believe it or not, it's usually like 10, 20 seconds. Seriously, it's not a long time. It just feels like it. And number three is to ask yourself, what's my goal here? What's my goal? So, blurting oftentimes is an emotional release. Blah, 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 blah. All these things built up, kind of like a pressure cooker. But silence is about results because you don't want the result that would happen because of blurting something out. So when you pause long enough to ask yourself, well, what is going on here? What do I actually want here? You start to respond instead of react. And that's huge because reaction is knee jerk and responding is listening, taking it in, processing it, and then speaking. And you can see there's a lot of steps there. And so there's a lot of time for the brain to make a different decision on what's going to be coming out of your mouth. You see where I'm going with all of that? And the fourth one I love because I think, this is one of my favorite get me out of my funk thing, and that's curiosity. So if we replace blurting with curiosity, instead of snapping back and at that person, try asking a question like, well, that's interesting that you would say that. What makes you say that? What's that about? Question. Because you're asking out of genuine curiosity, like maybe I'm not quite understanding, or I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt that maybe you're looking like an asshat right now, and I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt to turn that around, right? Maybe that's what the whole situation is. But, you know, asking kind of questions like that diffuses the tension and it gives you more information. And that's always better than a whole bunch of regret, right? I think so anyway. And number five is to reframe the silence as a strength. You know, we have to remind ourselves silence isn't passive. What silence is oftentimes a moment of processing. It's taking a beat, it's taking a pause, it's active. And for every second that you're not blurting something out that you're going to regret later, you're building on self control, you're sharpening your senses and your emotional intelligence, and you're giving yourself choices, you're giving yourself options. And ultimately, because of that, the decision that you make about what it is that you're going to say later will be beneficial for everyone. Nobody's going to regret it later. And there might even be a great resolution and a great, discussion following because you did that. Now, the reason this matters is because we just need to look at blurting stuff out. What is it anyway? It's like emotional fast food, is what it is. It's quick, it's dirty, it's cheap, but you always regret it later, always. While silence is like a slow roast, it takes patience, it takes time, but it nourishes you later and it lasts a whole lot longer, right? And it doesn't clutter up your car, by the way. Ha, ha. How do you like that? So when you're choosing silence, you're not bottling it up. I'm not suggesting that at all. When you're choosing silence, you're leveling up. You're giving your brain the time that it needs in order to process, in order to hold you up, in order to make you feel better, and in order to make this conversation be constructive and not destructive. So remember this the next time, that you need to give yourself space to maneuver, time to think, and the power to decide how is this all going to play out? Because we do have that option. Blurting locks you into an outcome that nobody wants, an apology, regret, wishing you could take it all back, that kind of a thing. But silence, that is where your options and your power live. All right. There you go. That's all I have for you today. But I thought that was, see what Olivia Pope can do for all of you who have ever watched Scandal. Yeah, that's what I do. Now, don't forget the book. the book, people. My new book is called If I Could Be 50 Again, This Is Exactly What I Would Do Differently. And you can get this pre-sale at savingdinner.com/50 again. That's where it is. I'm glad you found that helpful, Catherine. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thanks for being here. Thanks, everybody, for being here. I really appreciate all of you. And we're doing a couple of things. We're going to be changing a few things up. For the rest of the month, we will have our replays for the Daily Dish Show. But starting in October, we're going to just Tuesdays. If you watch them, leave a comment or something, and maybe we'll change our minds. But we're not getting a lot of traction on it. It takes a lot of work to put those things together, so we're just not going to be doing that anymore. And anyway, that's it. That's all I have to tell you. You're getting the book. Yay, Jocelyn. Thank you. Everybody should be getting the book. Right? And coming to the book party. Book party, we don't have a date for that yet. It's going to be announced. It's going to depend on when the printing is out, but you will get plenty of notice. All you have to be is a pre-sale buyer. It is on sale right now at savingdinner.com/50 again. Remember, that's 50, the number again. Okay? Thanks again. Peace be with you. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.